when it comes to that, the build that you were just referencing, would you, because I saw that it was on TROAS, would you say that generally speaking, especially when you're running brand bottom of funnel, that you maybe set a TROAS and just let it run on capture whatever it can on the bottom and don't overshoot it? So then that kind of gatekeeps it, because you're not trying to scale it, you're just trying to capture with it.
I would say yes, you can heavily reduce the amount of CPC for the brand. So if you had like a 500% TROAS on, you had 100 conversions at a 5x. If you take that TCPA or TROAS and turn it to like a 5 or like 1,000%, double your TROAS from 500% to 1,000%, you might lose 10% of your volume, but you may pay 40% less for it. So I usually dictate by what is the net profit. And so I know that someone says, Victor says, oh wait, no. Yeah, Camille says they launched the brand at PMAX. Would love to see your case studies and performance. Here's what I would say is always my go-to number one. If I'm not sure if it's helping, if maybe it's good enough and does it actually overall hurt, blah, blah, blah. What I can absolutely guarantee is that brand CPA is one of the most expensive portions of the journey. It shouldn't be. It's accidentally made to be the most expensive portion of that journey. But what is good in app, $35, $25, may be death when you're comparing it to your net profitability of the item that is sold. So, Camelia, if you're here, let me ask you a question. If you're still watching it, in your brand at PMAX campaign, what is your CPA? Knowing that majority of the time the conversions are brand, I would say 80% or more. Why not run the brand at PMAX and TCPA? Exactly. And that was going to be my next kind of my point, and we'll get to there, but we have to talk about the volume first. So if we look at, if we're in Camille, if you're looking at your CPA, that CPA, you're saying if I have a net profit of blank, the net profit will decide if this is a good idea or not. $100 net profit. If I'm talking about a $20 CPA, could be fantastic ROAS as a CPA, but that means that I was about to make $100 from someone Googling the brand name after they decided I'm going to buy this product. And we snuck in there and took $20 off. We took off 1/5 of our net profitability with the last portion of that click. And it could be a display click. Honestly, it might not even be an inbound branded search. We just know that everyone that is going to be inbound branded search is going to convert on the campaign that has an average CPA of 35. So regardless if it was a branded search or a YouTube campaign that actually sold someone new for the first time ever, due to the fact that that is the destination for all brand traffic, you have to add all branded traffic conversions at that CPA. In-app CPA or internal NCAC for Google Ads, in-app CPA. In-app NCAC is going to be the amalgamation of everything, but the branded conversion is something that if you didn't run that campaign, you would have never spent $35 extra on every sale. We know that to be true because that campaign spent zero. You can't have a spend is greater than zero if spend is zero. So we know that was never going to be attached to it. Now, did other campaigns have to pick up the slack? Probably not, because that person literally was taking an action by choice and by human intervention, by going, I'm moving my hands and typing in the brand name. I've made a decision to buy it. If I see a couple of display ads in the meantime, that's 10 cents and 12 cents, not $35. So we have to look at, am I okay with tacking on that as a purely added cost to my net profitability? And when you look at it in that sense, my hunch or my thought process is this. In this campaign, I said no and moved this to non-brand and got a 56 instead of 35. However, in another company that says, no, you have to run branded search regardless, and you have to spend this amount of money on it, I said, okay, that may be the case. But if we're looking at every single week, for example, my CPA that I'm tacking on to the end of this thing better not go above $8. Now, our average AOV is 35. I am taking away probably 20% of our net profitability by doing this. I will get fired if I don't. So guess what we're doing? We're doing.
Yeah.
So well, my job is to reduce that cost as much as humanly possible down to $8. And so sorry, but it is very, very powerful. Last thing I'll leave this to for this point is this thing is, yes, it's $137,000 a week or 2,500 sales. Like there's a large amount of activity there. It is not small. But so that means make it cheap as possible.
Yeah,
Go
well,
ahead.
the good news too about all this is like if it doesn't work, you're tracking the right KPI, so then reverse it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
if for whatever reason you're in that percentage that like people jump ship multiple times to other companies in the niche and you find out that you need your brand to show up like 24/7 all the time, no matter
Mhm.
what, then yeah, of course, like turn it back on.
Mhm.
But it's like one of those things to where yeah, like I'm starting to implement sort of what you're saying now too is pushing performance max is just a catch all bottom of funnel. Because like if you think about it, like it's trying to optimize towards people that are going to purchase, and if it can catch someone before they even search the brand name,
Mhm.
just how you eat.
Good. I'm trying to eat fast. Keep going.
But if you can see someone like if you can catch someone on display before they type in the brand name, then it's a lot better, right? Because it's going to be lower CPCs. You're not, at least in theory, right? I mean, I'm always going to be tinfoil hat about it, but in addition to that as well, too, you're not going to be in competition with like all the other competitors that are typing in your brand name and like saying, "Oh, we have this offer in the mix as well," and then it becomes bidding war with it. So, and it's someone that's already heard of your brand name and everything.
And
So,
the and it's exactly
yeah,
right. The other part too is like if you're paying for all the branded traffic and you're paying for it, that's okay. You might actually have to, like you said. You may say if I increase my ad spend, I actually get a better NCAC on the branded terms. Fine. Well, you're looking for the best NCAC, best CPA. Now, there will very rarely ever be a time, especially in an omni-channel ecosystem, that you spend your $20 CPA in Google, but you've already spent all that money everywhere else. Meaning that like I only have a brand campaign running in Google and I'm spending on Meta only. Those two scenarios means that CPA is absolutely a bolt on to the cost. It's usually an
yeah,
absolute bolt on to the cost of even Google, even though it's blended. That's even worse. If it's data driven, it means that I'm only counting half the conversions. So that's full spend. So that's where it gets a little bit interesting. Is that we have to play with it. We have to adjust. We have to stress test it. Okay, if that's good, increase it. Did it get better or did it get worse? But both in app and NCAC. And if we see that those two aren't really talking to each other, that's because you're getting them by chance, not because you're doing that.
yeah. At the end of the day, we're trying to just test and see like, does this make NCAC better? Does it make it worse? And then you
Right.
theorize why it does or doesn't, test that theory, and then develop strategy from that. It's literally just like that's like the cycle I feel like you're just in constantly. It doesn't really change. That's a universal, I guess, principle.